Hello my gorgeous loves out there and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be finally ranking all of my Ensley Reign palettes. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, but I just kept getting new palettes from Ensley Reign and I wanted to use all of them first before I did this video so I could include them all in one. So I have a good amount to go over, but before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bree. I'm a crazy lover of all things beauty. I love to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, and I like to do a lot on indie makeup. So if that is what you're into, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, let's get into this video. For today's ranking, I have about 13 palettes with me. I honestly want to pick up some other ones from them, but I didn't want to keep waiting and putting this video off, so I figured I'd finally do a ranking for what I have. And the 13 from one brand is a good amount of palettes to rank. I usually like to have at least 9 to do a video like this, because if it's less than that, I feel like it's like really short and not that exciting. I guess in my head it seems that way, but we're gonna go over everything and I'm gonna give you all my thoughts and let you know why I put things in where I did, like why I ranked them, where I ranked them. And it could be based on like the formula, the color story, how much did I actually go towards it, do I gravitate to it, is it like have enough variety, does it meet my taste and my preferences. But before we get into this video, if you're curious about this I did film it and it should be already up on my channel. I'll link it below, I'll put it up in the corner, but I'm actually wearing one of the palettes that I'm going to be ranking in today's video, so I'll let you know when we get to that palette. But of course my makeup's always linked in the description as well in case you're ever curious. But I think we should now dive into this ranking. So the one at the bottom of the ranking, which I still really love, but this is the Midwinter Dream palette. I think this was a collaboration. I can't remember who it was with. I think maybe it says it in here. Oh, with Brittany Huffman. But this was like in the early stages of me discovering Ensley Reign. I think they hadn't been out that long, so this is like their older formula, their older packaging. Like the packaging's a little bit more on the cheaper side. It's like a print that almost seems like it was like paste on to the cardboard packaging. And then inside, I mean, the color story is really beautiful. It's a very cool tone color story. It has depth to it, some mid-tones, and all these beautiful shimmers. Now, the reason why I put this towards the bottom is because this has their older formula, especially with their mattes. These ones were definitely more on the sheer side. You need to build it up more to get good pigmentation and a less, I guess, pigmented creamy formula as the ones that they have now in their newer palettes, as well as for the shimmers. These are beautiful, shifty, sparkly. Some have a little bit more texture, but I also do feel like their metallic formula has improved a lot, and they've come out with so many more types of metallic formulas in their palettes, like a lot more variety in them. Like some of these are more satin leaning, and now they do a lot more foiled, sparkly, intense shimmers, and they do holochromes, more multi-chromes. So I think their formula overall from both metallics and mattes have improved since this. But the color story is lovely and I'm happy to still have it in my collection. This was my first go with Ensley Reign, I believe, and it was like something I just loved and adored and made me keep going back to the brand, and I'm just so happy to see that they've continued to improve. Then we're going on to this palette right here. This is the Cosmic Dreamer palette. This was the original one, so they came out with a 2.0 version, but this was, I think, the second palette I purchased from them, and I love this color story. And I think it's just a grungy little dream, but it has like nudie shades, so it's like a nudie palette with the pops of color, a good variation of tones. Now in here, most of the metallics are satin leaning, and I like very intense sparkly shades. Now there are some that are a little bit more foiled, so that's why it's like towards more on the bottom part, because there's so many other palettes that have just like the super intense metallics from them. And then the mattes were that more buildable formula, since this was one of their older palettes, their older releases with their older formula. But I still really love the color story, and I feel like this is different enough from the 2.0 to keep it in my collection. Like I don't want to let it go because I still really enjoy it, and I think overall the quality was nice and, you know, a good start for the brand. This also has more of like a paste packaging on top. Actually, one of the shades keep falling out. And this is before they had magnetic pans. These were glued in pans. So they've improved in so many ways, even with their packaging. And then going on to this one right here, this is the Enchanted Garden palette. So it's in like a magnetic palette, and then the shades came separately. So if you bought like all the shades, it came with the palette. So I mean, I guess this would technically be considered singles, but they were all like in a curated bundle, and then it came with this. I mean, you could buy these as singles, but to me, I'm just gonna consider it as a palette instead of singles. And I think this one I ranked higher because this had like the more intense sparkly metallics that I love so much from Ensley Reign. Now these pastels are more sheer. They're not as pigmented as I would prefer them to be, but I put this above the other ones because the shimmers, this is where it started getting really good, and the shimmers just start to really amaze me. So this one I really do enjoy, and it's more of a lighter pastel-y springy color story, and I really enjoy it. I think this is the most lightest pastel shimmers that overall I have from Ensley Reign. I know that some of the other ones do have this, but this is something I like to pull out in the springtime. I feel like a lot of their palettes lean a little bit more grungy or very cool tone. Then the next one in the ranking is the Flutter palette. So this one is really pretty. One of their newer releases and one of their smaller palettes that they released. Now they have even smaller ones, like 6-pound ones, which I haven't picked up any of those yet. But I really do like this. I just think that the color story is just not as exciting to me. It doesn't have enough variety for my preference, but it is a smaller palette. But it's mainly just a green purple palette, and a lot of these metallics have very similar shifts. And I do feel like the darker mattes don't do the best over other mattes. You have to use that one first, so it's a little, you know, finicky with those mattes, but besides that, they're workable, and I love it. I just think like the ones that I have that I'm going to show you over this, they just have more options and more color stories that appeal to me, and I do feel like I have a lot of things very similar to this in my collection with like green purple color stories, but it's still really pretty. Love the packaging. This has the magnetic pans. And then we're going into the Strawberry Moon palette, which was one of their other older-ish releases. Maybe this was my 4th purchase from them at the time, but this one still has my heart. It's so beautiful and like saturated with these stunning colors, and I really love the metallics in here. Like the options up here are stunning, and I thought the mattes were overall pretty good in here. I do feel like these were an improvement from like the midwinter one, the original Cosmic Dreamer, as well as the Enchanted Garden one. I feel like these had a little bit more pigmentation, but I love like the monochromatic vibes, and these shimmers right here are really stunning. And I don't know, I think these are really good. And I've compared this to a lot of like higher end brands like Danessa Myricks, which their palettes are a lot more expensive, and a lot of these shimmers were similar to some of those and some of like the singles from like Cleona and Davina. So I thought this was an excellent formula, and the color story is just so fun and bright. And now they do have a revamped version, and I think it comes with the square magnetic pans. These are the glued in pans, so you can't pop these ones out. I've been curious about picking up that one, and I would love to try it out in like their updated formula, because this does also have their older formula in it, but I put it up towards like the middle-ish because I just really love the color stories, and I thought the shimmers were really nice in that one. And then the next one in the ranking is the Flourish palette, and I put this one higher up than the Strawberry Moon, even though it has like similar fun colors in it. I do like the metallics in here even more because they're even more sparkly and intense, and like really just, how do I say it, high shine, just like intense and foiled. And I do feel like these lighter mattes are very pigmented for being lighter mattes, and has a really good formula, besides this one shade that's a little finicky. But these lighter ones just have my heart. This neon shade has my heart, and this has magnetic packaging. This is one of their newer palettes, their newer formula, and that's why I put it over the like older ones and over the Flutter one, because I do feel like this color story appeals to me more. So That's why it's at where it's at. And then going on to this one, which is the palette that I have on my eyes. I've only been able to film one look with it so far, but I've swatched it. It feels consistent to their like newer formula. So I figured I would just include it in this ranking. I kind of had an idea of where I would place it against the others. So it's the Underland palette, which is what's on my eyes. I also have the Underland Moonlit Madness highlighter on as well, but this one is beautiful. It's grungy, it's a little bit more deeper, but it does have a matte white that you can like lighten up shades or use as an inner corner highlight. You can use this as an inner corner highlight as well, and it has some kind of hollow chrome shade in here. I think this is the hollow chrome, and then multi-chromes and extra sparkly goodness. It's really beautiful. I mean, I have the greens, the purple, these blue shades, and I love it. And I feel like you could do a good amount of looks with it, and just this speaks to me when it comes to a color story, because I like the more deeper tones and I like grungy tones and I like cool tones, and it's all in this palette and it's beautiful. It's stunning. I really enjoyed putting this look together. I cannot wait to play with it some more and like dive into like the more reddish tones would be really nice, or do like a really intense kind of brownie reddish look, like something a little bit more subdued with like a pop. That would be really nice. But I was very impressed with that palette. I think it's really good. And then the palette that I put over that one, which has a similar color story, but I just put it up higher because I love that it has a lot of options, and it's the Harvest Moon palette. I feel like there's similarities to one another because it's that grunge kind of fall-esque color story, but this one has tons of metallics in it, and has these beautiful like muted mattes in there too, which I think these mattes are pretty good. They do feel more improved than like some of the older palettes that I showed you, and I think the metallics are so pretty and shifty and grungy and fall-y with the purples, the orange, the greens. You have various greens, you have various textures in here, so I just love the options, and I love that this is a bigger palette. That's the only reason why I put it over the Underland one. If I didn't have this one, or maybe if it was smaller, I might have put the Underland over it, but because it has more going on, but still in that grungy family, that's why I put it up above, and it's so pretty. It's sparkly and shifty, and like these greens just are so beautiful. And then the next palette in the ranking, which is a more nudie palette, and I've ranked this higher than a lot of color, and I'm a color lover, but this is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. It makes me feel pretty and glamorous whenever I put these shades on, because it just has the most sparkly, gorgeous, shifty metallics with these beautiful cool tone nudie shades. And I don't have a lot of nudie palettes in my collection since I'm a color lover, so I feel like this does add to my collection. It brings something new, and I just been really enjoying nudie looks lately. Sometimes I don't want to have to really think a lot about a look. I just want to put some nudie shades to the crease, a stunning metallic on the lid, and go about my day. And I also love using this for like date night with my husband. I like to do nudie more looks for date night for some reason, because I guess that's when I feel my prettiest. So I've been using things like this, and I feel like the cool tone palettes in my collection, they're all kind of different in the nudie scope, and then the other ones that I do have that have really intense foil shades are also mixed with the warm tone shades and grungy one. I feel like this is a true cool tone glamorous palette, and it stands on its own. I really love it, and that's why it's pretty high up there, and it's their gorgeous new formula. Then going on to more colorful palettes, I still was going to put colorful palettes at the top, but the Twisted Tea Party, I am very impressed by this palette. I was actually quite blown away by the looks I was able to create, the just overall color story. I just love like playing with it, and I gravitate towards it a lot. I love the tones in here because there's the grunge with the cool tones, and those are my favorite types of shades, grunge and cool tones and color. So it has everything that I love, and in these beautiful formulas. And I just thought the color story was really pretty and unique, and I just want to keep using it. Like, it makes me want to use it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, ooh, I want to do another look with it. And I have a lot in my collection, so for me to want to keep using one palette over all the other things that I have means it's a really good one. And the formula was excellent, and these tones are everything. I love the theme. I could go on and on. I mean, it's a similar reason why I love a palette with all the other ones, because, you know, I really love the metallic formula from Ensley Reign. That's what really pulls on my heartstrings from them. So I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's an Ensley Reign video. I can't help myself. And then we have the Flower Moon palette. With this one is more colorful, little grunge. It's giving fall, but also giving a little bit of summer. And it has like so many metallics in here. And that's why I put it up over the Twisted Tea Party, because it is a bigger palette. There are more options, and it still has like the grungy mattes, but all these intense, beautiful shimmers in here. And there's like the greens and pinky ones, blue ones. And I just love the different shifts on them, and that there's a variety of textures, from more flaky ones to more smoother ones. And I just love having variety in my palette. I like having tons of options to play with, and the looks I could see with this are just endless, because I just feel like I could mix things up. I could go blue and brown, I could go pinky, I could go towards purple, I could mix greens. I can use this in the inner corner because it's a fun little neon. It's just a really pretty one, and this is one of my newer palettes that I got from them, and I've been enjoying it a lot, and I'm gonna continue to use this into the winter because it gives me fall with that color story. And then going on to the new Cosmic Dreamer 2.0 palette. This one, oh, this one has my heart, y'all. I love it so much. Variety. We've got warm tones, we got cool tones, we have grunge, we have cool tone nudies shades, we have color muted tones. Like, there's just so much variety in here. This white shade right here, it has like a sheen at the side. Such a beautiful inner corner highlight or brightening shade. And then like these tones in this limey green, like they really stepped it up with this revamped version. They have ones that just have extra sparkle in it. Beautiful mattes, good variation of tones from light to deeper shades. And the color options, like, whew, this is probably one of the best ones from them. If you want a good amount of variety, a good amount of options where you can just create a bunch of different looks. You can do nudie looks, and you can do colorful looks, and you can go on all different ends of different kind of tones. And then number one on the ranking, which I don't think any of you will be surprised, this one is kind of more of a set color story, and it's very cool tone, but something about this one is a dream. So it is the Lands of Enchantment palette. I adore this, and there's something about this that is so dreamy and ethereal and fairy-like, and it speaks to my inner child. My inner child really just wants to be a fairy. That's what it wants to be at the end of the day. Cover me in glitter and sparkle, and I would be a happy camper. And this has all of that with the cool tones and these like holochrome shifty shades. There's these beautiful like pastels that are very pigmented, but then there's deeper shades, and it has my favorite colors to wear: blue, greens, and purples. What more could I ask for from a palette? And I also use this palette to create my look for my wedding day. So it has a sentimental value to it, and I have a lot of options in my collection. So it was really hard trying to narrow down what palettes to bring with me on my trip to Ireland and on my honeymoon, and this made the cut because I was like, I'm about to have like a fairy tale kind of wedding in this beautiful Irish countryside. I want something that channels that kind of energy, so I went with the Lands of Enchantment palette. So this will always be special to me because of the day that I wore it, and I will always think of that day because of this one. So yes, that is number one in the ranking. But that was everything for this video. Hopefully this video was helpful in letting you know what is a good palette to pick up from Ensley Reign, or which one should be your next purchase or your first purchase from the brand based on how I described them. I try to make these rankings as helpful as possible, but you guys would now have to let me know, what are your thoughts in the comments below? Have you tried anything from Ensley Reign? What do you think of the brand? Would you have ranked these palettes in different places? I would just love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoy this video, you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, you like a lot on indie makeup and all that good stuff, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I would love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will have all the palettes linked if you want to check them out for yourself, and all the videos that I've done on each of these palettes if you want to see more on them, see looks with them. I will also link my Ensley Reign playlist so you can see everything that I've done with the brand, and I will have my makeup links, like I said, foundation and all of that. Like I said, I have the Underland collection on my face, so that will be there, and I will have my contact and my social media platforms linked. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_beauty. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really love that. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for being here, for supporting me, just being so amazing. I appreciate you guys all so much, and I just hope all of you are doing well wherever you are in the world, and just sending you guys so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.